In this video, I'll show you how to add ambient occlusion to your models in Blender. So what ambient occlusion is going to do is it's going to add a darkening to the creases and crevices and corners of objects. And so it can really make your model stand out and just give it more depth. So this is the project files of my lizard alien sculpture, and I do have a creation process video if you want to check it out. And so I'm just going to Control-Shift select the multiply here, and so this is what the color map of the alien is looking like. But I could add ambient occlusion to this model to make all the creases and crevices a bit darker. So what I'm going to do is search for ambient occlusion. Let's drop the ambient occlusion right here, and then I'm just going to Control-Shift select the ambient occlusion to preview it. So the ambient occlusion, as I mentioned, is going to add a darkening in the creases and crevices. So for example, like right here, back on these little tail pieces, it looks a bit darker, and also kind of along the scales it's a bit darker, and inside the mouth you can clearly see it's darker. So what I want to do is mix this into the base color to make those parts darker. So a really easy way to do this is to search for a multiply, and we can add the mix color multiply. So I'm going to drag the multiply right over here and the ambient occlusion over here, and I'll just put the multiply right here after this color. So right before it goes into the base color, and I'll just preview this multiply. So I can now take the ambient occlusion color and I can put this into color B, and then color A is going to be the original texture. So here's the skin without the ambient occlusion, and then here it is after, so before and after, and it's really adding more depth to the skin and more depth to the character, because kind of like around the eyes it's a bit darker, the nostrils are a bit darker, and also there's all this extra detail where the scales are on the character. So it is a pretty subtle effect, but you can see here's the renders before and after. Now there's also some settings that you can change on the ambient occlusion. So I'm just going to Control-Shift select the ambient occlusion to preview it. So I'll just zoom in here. Now the samples, that's going to be the quality of the ambient occlusion. So if I turn it up to a larger number, then the render is definitely going to be slower, but the ambient occlusion looks quite a bit smoother. Or if I turn it way down, the rendering is going to be a lot faster. You can see how quickly it rendered in the viewport, but the ambient occlusion looks a little bit more noisy and doesn't look quite as soft. So most of the time, I just leave it at the default of 16. Now you can also click on the inside button, and the inside button is sort of going to invert it. So you can see it kind of is giving us an inverted effect. So the whitest parts are actually dark, but usually I don't use this because it's really the opposite effect. Now there's also this only local checkmark, and so if I checkmark this, it's not going to consider any of the other objects when adding the ambient occlusion. So if it's turned off, you can see if I have this cube here and I put the cube really close to the object, it's adding an ambient occlusion because it sees this part here as being a crevice because the objects are close to each other. Well, if I turn on only local, it's going to ignore all the other objects. So now you can see there's no crevice there. Now I usually like to leave the only local turned off because you can see like around the eye, that looks a little bit darker. And also if I kind of zoom into the teeth here, you can see there's not really that shadow around the teeth. So I usually like to keep it on because it just makes everything look a little bit nicer. Sometimes with the only local turned off though, it's just way too strong if there's a very large object nearby, so sometimes you might need to turn it on. Also, if you're doing an animation and there's an object moving past another object, the ambient occlusion might get stronger when it's moving past, so that's another reason why you might want to turn the only local on. Now there's also a color, so you can change the color, make it lighter and darker. So if I make this darker, now you can see a lot more of that ambient occlusion. So kind of here in the scales and on the skin texture, you can clearly see the ambient occlusion better. Now there's also this distance value, and when I play around with this distance value, I usually can never see an effect because it's so subtle. But if you're using the Eevee rendering engine and you make the ambient occlusion a bit more contrasted by adding a color ramp, then you can definitely see the difference of the distance value. But usually when I'm in the Cycles rendering engine and I just change this to like a really big distance value or a really small distance value, I really can't see any change in the model, so I usually don't play around with it. Now speaking of the contrast, you can also change the contrast of the ambient occlusion. So I'm just going to preview this multiply so we can preview the base color. Now what I can do is search for a color ramp, and we can drop the color ramp between the ambient occlusion and the multiply. So just stick it there. So if I just Control-Shift select the color ramp to preview it, if I drag the black tab way over, it's more contrasty, so you can clearly see a lot more of the ambient occlusion, and there's also a lot of ambient occlusion underneath the chin because that's a crevice. Or I can make it more subtle by dragging the white tab over, and now it's going to be pretty subtle, and I can pretty much only see the ambient occlusion like in the mouth and kind of on the back of the character. Now another example of where the ambient occlusion can be useful is where two objects meet or they're intersecting or really close to each other. So you can see on this edge here, there isn't really any darkening, and in the real world, if there was like a brick with a ground, there might be some grunge or some dirt kind of in this area. So I could use ambient occlusion just to make it look a bit darker in that little corner. So I'll just set it up the same way. So I'm going to add an ambient occlusion node, and then a really easy way to mix in the dark values is to just search for a multiply node, and we'll put it here after the base color, and then the ambient occlusion color can go into color B, and then the original texture can go into color A. So now you can just see there's a little bit of darkening there right before it hits the brick texture. And if I select the multiply and hit the M key to mute and unmute it, you can clearly see it's looking darker. Then what I could do is hit Control C to copy these two selected nodes. I could click on the other material, so the brick, and I'll hit Control V to paste it. So now what I'll do is take the base color and put that into color A, and then I'll take the multiply and replace that for the base color. So now you can clearly see there's an ambient occlusion, and if I drag this up, you can see it kind of starts to go away, and I can drag it down, and then once it's close to each other, it gets darker. So I'm just going to preview the base color here, and then also preview this base color. So now I can drag this up and down, and you can clearly see that ambient occlusion, so it almost gives like a fake shadow, but then when it gets closer, you can kind of see a darkening where the two objects are really close to each other. I could also make it a bit stronger by adding a color ramp, and I could just drag the color ramp a bit closer. So using a color ramp is a really easy way to make the ambient occlusion a bit stronger. And if you'd like to learn how to properly set up all the different texture maps in Blender to create a material, then I do have a video on that, so if you'd like to check it out, the link is in the description. So I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for watching.